Hey everybody! Super good morning to everyone. How's everybody doing today? This is Kevin Chan here, 7:30 in the morning again, and we're gonna bring you another topic, to talk a little bit about the duality in Chinese metaphysics. Actual sense, most of Eastern methodology or knowledge is basically based on this particular thing called bucketing. I call it bucketing system, right? So which means that you have categories of things and you put everything into their respective category. So that particular category become a big bucket of stuff inside, right? So that's how Chinese metaphysics is being understood. Later we will talk about some example for you. So of course, as early in the morning, what do? We go and have a good morning to everybody first. I can see that Pekwo is around, Jocelyn is around, Sabrina is around, GB, PJ Kwok is around. How's you guys all doing, right? So we are already at the 23rd day of the month of July already. If you are still not scared of how fast time moves, this is how time moves, right? So it's already July already. Hello Brian, good morning to you. How are you doing? Right, so we are talking a little bit about this duality, and one of the most famous well-being used overly exploited is basically the entire idea of yin and yang, right? So there's so many different explanations for the idea of yin and yang, right? So today I'll give you the most rudimental ground explanation for this, right? So hello Kissing, how are you doing? Right, so good morning as well for those of you who are just join me, right? So come, let us move into the topic today and talk a little bit about this particular thing called yin and yang. So this is very important because if you are studying Chinese metaphysics, you need to have this particular mindset of segregation or bucketing, right? So because in Chinese metaphysics, one thing that it does not have is that it do not have a definitive answer. But if you give you a range of area for you to take a look at, we will explain that a bit later, so that you have a bit of a better understanding when you are applying this to any of the arts that you're trying to do. Anything you're trying to do is that you try to understand that we are trying to target a group. We are not trying to target a item, right? So that's why the what we call the Western brain way of a definition doesn't really work in the as Eastern arena. Right, so come, as usual, getting in touch with me, Telegram will be a good place for you to start off with. You can PM me, you can give a chit chat, got any question you want to throw into the Telegram, feel free to do so. And then there's gonna be the monthly newsletter, right? So monthly newsletter is a automatic service that will email you any article that I've written, and I will set the date of publication, like yesterday, I think. Yesterday, right? The day before yesterday, right, it was the publication of the forecast for the month of August for Chiman, if I'm not wrong, right? So so you receive it, right? So if you have not received it in your email, please, it's not that your email got problem, it's just that it haven't been published, right? So all pretty easy for you is that just go into Substack and read everything that's inside the Substack. So right now I'm organizing the very lengthy version of the 60 pillar, right? So this is where I start to realize that damn, got so many things to do. All right, so I need to redo all the graphic. Last time the graphic all cannot use already, I need to redo it. All right, so never mind. Right, so the Facebook page, right? So it's basically a fan page, right? So you need some community hugging. Right, so which means you just started learning, or there are certain things that you are stumped upon that you want to crowdsource some answer. That would be a good place for you to put a post in, right? So if I see if the topic is lively enough, I might convert this into a session to specifically talk about that, right? So that might happen, right? So I don't know, right? So come, let's take a look at the duality, right? So if you go into any world or anything at all, but this is actually happening every single day. How would you organize and categorize the world around you? Right, so that's basic the question is, and you and I are actually doing this every single day, right? So because your brain cannot really work with stuff that it does not understand, right? So that's how it's basically working, right? So your brain need to have associative what we call a meaning to the thing that you are doing. So classification, sorting, categorizing happen to be something that you and I do on a very natural basis, right? So and today's topic is all about the entire idea categorizing. Hello Winnie, hello CS How are you guys doing? Hello Red, good morning to you all, right? So now just imagine now you just come into this particular world, right? So which means that let's just imagine you just go into a game. That's easy. You just load up a game. You just load up a game, and then the game just load up. So you go drop into the game world, right? So the first time you ever seen this game world, so you don't know anything, right? So normal circumstances when you drop into the game world is you got a character, right? You got a character. Then around the character there will be a circle of area that the character can see, line of sight, right? So line of sight, or you can call fog of war, whatever it is, right? So whatever beyond the line of sight is all darkened. You don't know what is basically there. So as you move, you will open up new map area, so which means that you get more information the more thing that you basically see, but you will always know that there will be area that are dark, there will be area that is clear. So in the Chinese metaphysics world, or you want to say the Eastern brain, right? So it's very easy for you to know. So the world is always in a situation whereby they are known and unknown. I think this is the biggest category of things that you can categorize in your life, is either stuff that you know and stuff that you don't know. Does it mean that stuff that you don't know doesn't exist? Now, this is one of the biggest problem with people who are very Western scientific, right? So Western scientific is, oh no, this thing cannot see one, it doesn't exist. Always like that, right? So, or some people who are too religious orthodox, I want to call it. Oh, it's not written in the God scripture, right? So which means it doesn't exist. Right? So now see which clan you're in doesn't really matter, but you and I know that the world basically is in a situation whereby it is known or unknown. The universe, the galaxy is so big that do you think us human knows everything? No right? So no, right? So but then things that is unknown, there's nothing much that you can do about it, right? So it will still remain unknown until you go into the known zone. But for the thing that you know, right? So now we talk about the stuff that you know, right? So for all the thing that you know today, right? So if you're still confused with this, you just compare yourself, the thing that you know versus a thing that a 6-year-old kids would know, right? So the 6-year-old kids wouldn't know a lot of things that you know, but does it mean that because the 6-year-old kid doesn't know about the thing that you know, that the thing that you know is fake or untrue? Just because the 6-year-old doesn't know about it, in the world of the 6-year-old, your stuff doesn't exist, which is true, right? You can start to understand, right? So like in the world of my son, a lot of stuff doesn't exist. Like earning money in the world of my son doesn't exist. In the world of my daughter also doesn't exist. Right? My daughter will say magic. Right? So right now my daughter has just started online shopping. Right? So she's using my card to buy stuff. Right? So right now, I come home, I see I got boxes of stuff in house already. I say, what is this? Oh, something that I bought from online. Oh. But never mind, right? So it's useful stuff. Right? So but anyway, stuff that you know, right? So now that you got a lot of things that you know, right? You cannot be leaving it as stuff that I know. Right? Very naturally, you start to do classification. So what is the easiest classification that you can do? Easiest classification, if you want to classify stuff, right? So this is the first step. I got a bunch of things that I know. So it's like Lego. Lego, you're given a box of Lego, right? So how are you gonna make sense of the Lego, right? So if you leave it in the bucket, all are mixed up together, it's very difficult for to make sense of the Lego. So what strategy, what methodology would you use to do, right? So for Chinese metaphysics, we use the most logical way. It's called splitting in half. So what you do? You split everything into half. Right? So there is this called left category, called right category, or you can call it the black category, the white category. So everything basically split right at the center. So you find some characteristic, you're going to call them. So and then what happens is that you need to give it a name, right? You need to put a labeling, you need to label it as a name, right? So the Chinese metaphysics world has decided to choose these two words called yin and yang. The yin and yang actually is nothing, it's just two buckets. If you don't like the word yin and yang, you can replace it with red and blue, right? Hairy, not hairy, doesn't matter, right? So but it's just that Chinese metaphysics has chosen this omnipotent word that has been used for everything and anything which is called yin and yang. Right, so right now the world is being separated into yin and yang, right? So in Chinese metaphysics, they represent the yang with the complete line, right? Complete line, whereas the yin is the broken line. That's all. Again, right? These are just representation choices. It is not a decree. It is not a dictation. At that point in time, whoever that come up with this, right? Hey, you know, guys, let's categorize everything that we do. Just imagine, you know, a group of people, you know, just come into this particular world, was given a bucket of Lego set. You don't know what the hell to do with it, and then this guy stand up and say, hey, you know, guys, how about we sort the Lego set into you want to say square color pieces versus black and white pieces. I don't know, right? So no, yeah, whatever the sorting methodology that you may think of, right? So you got it there. So at that point in time, somebody came up with this idea of, you know, having the yang category and also the yin category. So graphically, you know, we will do the yang category. At that point in time, probably they do not know how to write the word yang. Okay, so what do? That they know how to write straight line. You know, somebody decided that, okay, straight line mean yang stuff, broken line mean yin stuff. So once you have these two bucket, these two category, now you can start to put thing into it. You can start to do sorting, right? So like your Lego, right? So, you know, if you decided that, you know, left hand side should be black and white and other color, you know, black and white, other color, you know, two category of sorting. Now it doesn't mean that this sorting is correct, right? You may change it to, you know, as in, you know, 3D tile versus flat tile. Now 3D tile mean that the tile is a little bit more than one layer, right? So there are some tile more than one layer. So it's either fat tile or thin tile. So no, there's a lot of way for you to sort the, you know, Lego tile. You know, sort it by color. So sort it by shape, sort it by, you know, how many boxes it is. You know, it's a lot of way to do so. It's just sorting, right? So sorting help you understand the world. So, you know, is the first step was deciding to sort everything into two categories. So it's a binary category sorting. Right? Everything get put into two categories, yang stuff, you know, into yin stuff, you know. So they come up with a certain agreement. Like for example, if the thing is moving, then it's called yang. Right? So if this thing is not moving, then it's called yin. Then, you know, they start to sort like, oh, this thing not moving one, you know, we put that. So, you know, if something that is heavy is called yang, something that is light is called yin. So then they start to sort out, oh, this is light, then put here. So what if it is moving and light? Right? Just now we agree that moving is yang, right? But then when the thing is very light, it is yin. So it's like a feather. It's like a feather floating down, or a leaf floating down. So a leaf floating down is a yang thingy with a yin thingy. So they find it that this categorizing certain thing cannot put inside. Right? So what happened? You create more category. Pretty simple only, right? You just create more category. You know, if this fella cannot be fit into this category, right? Right, love seeing yin and yang on a night plane, right? Okay, right. So now, so you start to put it into a category. So what is the next natural category to do? So if you further split the yin and yang into another two, then you get four, right? So now you get four bucket, right? So now you get four bucket. So we created the four bucket. So the four bucket need naming convention as well, so you call the four bucket as greater yin, lesser yang, lesser yin, greater yang. That's it. It's just four buckets. So now see, it's still nothing more than, you know, just upgrading the bucket. So at first we got one line. Then right now we put things on top of the line, right? So now a hexagram building is from bottom to top. Please don't build a hexagram from top to bottom. Right. Bottom to top building. So you got originally you got one line of full line and then one line of broken line. So what can you put on top of it? So there's only two choices on top. Is either you put a broken line on top of it, or you put a full line on top of it. So full line, I put another full line, is called greater yang. So these are stuff that is very, very young. Right? So lesser yin is what is, is a yang stuff that has a little bit of a yin thing. Right, so then lesser yang is a yin thing with a little bit of a yang. Right, so, you know, like just now the leaf that is moving, right, the leaf that is blown by the wind, that is moving right now. So we can see that, oh, movement is yang and then the leaf is yin. So I can put it, this is a lesser yin situation. right? So when a stone is rolling down a mountain, then it's a yang on a yang. Stone is a yang, then there is a greater yang. That's all I need. It's just categorizing, right? So categorizing, you're just categorizing stuff, nothing more than that. Right, so you see that this is basically a sorting, categorizing mechanism that has been created long time ago, and this is done through very rudimental logic. Right, so I throw anything to you, right? You would basically do the categorizing automatically in your brain, right? You will automatically, seems like, if I throw you into a group of children, right, you will straight away categorize them as naughty and obedient. Automatic one. Right, see the children face. This is naughty fella face. This is obedient fella face. Right, very normal. Right, very normal. Right, so you are thrown into a group of anything at all. Right, so no, you would automatically categorizing, or what you today would name it as a generalization technique. Do you notice that no matter where you go, you carry a generalization technique? Right, so you go there, you look at the situation, straight away you generalize first. Because why? There is already boxes inside your brain. It's as easy as that, From small, somebody has already installed some boxes. Your mom and your dad has already installed some boxes inside it. So that's why, you got biases. Biases is basically boxes. Right, certain things that you have already put inside a certain box. Right, so you have that biases. So when you see certain thing, it triggers you to remember that box, then you bias against that thing. Right, so like very general is that, in at least in Malaysia, in your country, I don't know. Right, so in Malaysia, what happens is that Chinese will catch your children and sell. That's what a Chinese would do. Right, because Chinese has always been associated with the commerce side of things, selling things. So the accusation is Chinese will sell anything, including your children. Which is very unfortunate. Just the other day only on the internet, I think it's in China. The mom actually sold the child, the two child actually sold the two child so that she can have money to reward the influencer live broadcast and buy gift for the influencer. And I don't know what go through the mom's dumb head but you see, Chinese sell everything. Okay, right? So now those are called biases, right? So like these boxes all happen inside your brain, right? So but when we are teaching you this, you get all confused with, what is actually in lesser yin? What are the things inside lesser yin? There is a lot of things. You just imagine if the entire universe, you have to fit it into 4 boxes only. There's only 4 boxes for fit. Everything need to go inside. Is there any answer for you? There's no answer for you. No specific answer for you, right? So that's why yin and yang is the biggest category that you can think of, right? So the biggest category that you can think of is yin and yang, dual category, right? So then afterward you sort into these 4 boxes, you feel like, brother, right? Not enough 4 boxes. Right? Devil, alright, good morning to you as well. Brother, not enough 4 boxes. So what is the next level of advancement you can go? And another line on top right? And another line on top right? So you start out with first line give you 2 boxes. Second line give you 4 boxes. Third line will give you 8 boxes now we got 8 container. Right? Very logical, right? So the third level, right? So the third level, if we take a look at it, right? So we're going to change it, right? So then you got 8 container. So this is our trigram. Why is it called trigram? 3 level of diagram, trigram, right? So trigram, 8 boxes. Great. Now we got 8 boxes. Happy? Right now you got more places to put things, right? Right. So hi Nias, how are you doing? Good morning to you as well. Right, so now you got 8 boxes to put thing already now, So of course, you need to give meaning to the 8 boxes or else the 8 boxes is just boxes, right? So you need to put stuff in. You need to start to tell people, hey, this particular thing means, right? So when you see things that is of matching to this, you put into this box. So this is like teaching people how to sort, right? So no, it's like, again, back to Lego. So back to Lego, your kids, I don't know whether your kids play Lego or not, right? So your kids have Lego pieces, is all over the places, right? So you prepare 8 different boxes to the kids, and then you tell the kids, right? So this box is for everything that is yellow color. This box is for everything that is blue color, right? So this box is everything, right? So, or this one is for everything that is square shape, right? So no, your box is everything is square shape. Now, whether it's a 4-box square or it's a 8-box square, doesn't matter. As long as it's square, you put it here. So this one is for anything that's rectangle, right? So this is for anything that is triangle, right? So this is anything that is of 3D cubes. This one is anything of odd shape. So this is character, right? So these are all tires, whatever it is, right? So you can get to categorize all the stuff, right? So now you got 8 boxes already. Okay, good and great, right? So good and great, you feel like, you feel like you have the world in your hand. Everything can be categorized, right? So what happened is that, now you need to make some meaning to it, right? So first level meaning, right? So again, first level meaning, we have this. This is called the early heaven bagua, right? So early heaven bagua. So early heaven bagua, how do you categorize it? Now, mostly early heaven bagua is basically based on nature, right? Based on nature, based on things that's very natural, right? So now at that point in time, probably we does not have a lot of the abomination that we have today. We are still dealing with a lot of things that is nature, right? So you can see that the categorizing the what we call the duality, that is the left and right, the up and down, which means the opposite diagonal is always against each other. Like for example, the heaven and earth, Tian and Di, which is the Qian Gua and the Kun Gua, right? So Tian means that things that is always in the air, right? Di is things that is always on the ground. It makes very easy sense, right? If you look at this, you would definitely know whether the stuff is in the air or on the ground. You see the bird, right? Bird belong to where? Now, so you can, depending on whether the fellow is standing on a branch or is flying. Right? So again, generally speaking, if you look at it, bird belong to where? So it's like cloud. Cloud belong to where? Right? So sun belong to where? Understand? Right? So you start to categorize. So everything like sun, clouds, even things like rain, right? So all belong to the sky category. Tian, sky category, right? So then soil, rock, this sort of stuff, all belong to the a land category. Then you also start to see that there are some salient stuff that you can take a look, right? The Lego shop, my grandson's second. Good ma, right? Good ma, right? So then you take a look at the mountain and also the pond, right? So the mountain and the pond, right? So category. So now mountain is things that are tall, pond are things that are low, high, low, right? So now just now, the heaven is things that is in the sky. Now I got things that is high versus things that is low. Right, so you can see these are two opposing category, but when you have extreme opposing category, it's very easy for you to make inference, because when you look at it, it's either high or low. It cannot be half high, half low. Right? Like for example, a tree, the tree basically belong to high, right? Then a pond of water basically belong to low. So you can see that naming convention. The mountain, mountain is high, low. Then if there's a pond, then it's low, right? So you can see now your category of things that is in the sky versus things that is high, things that is in the ground versus things that is low, right? So now you got fire and water, right? So the fire and water. So fire and water is basically what? Now fire and water is basically talking about motion. Fire is things that is rising up. Water are things that is going down. Right, you can see now you got category of things that is always in the sky. Now you got things that is tall. Now I got things that is rising up. Right, now I got things that are rising up. Water is always going down. Right, so it's going down versus rising up. So now you got some movement inside. Right, so then you got the lightning and also the wind. The lightning and wind is like this. Lightning is things that you can see. Wind is things that you cannot see. but both of them are generally speaking moving stuff that can be seen versus moving stuff that cannot be seen, right? So which means a running panther is lightning, right? You can see you can see the panther running, right? So if a panther is hiding in the bush and charging towards you and you cannot see it, then it's wind. I see this, yeah, they are just categorizing method, it worked fine during that time, they are able to categorize the nature, whatever that's happening around it. So again, now abomination is not around. So which means human invented stuff are not too around yet. Right, human invented stuff are not too around yet. Okay, right, so that's going to be the category law. So if at any time at all, if you see a rock, you straight away will be able to say that, oh no, this one belongs to the earth category. Right, so then you see a flying bird. Right, see when look like it's a sky plus movement. Right, so then you come to sky plus movement. How sky plus movement? How I create a category is called sky movement category. Right, so that's the next level of right. So that somebody feel that this particular labeling method, I just call this labeling method, by the way, this is called the early heaven bagua, right? So early heaven bagua labeling method seems to be not very suitable, right? So somebody rearranged it and then came out with the later heaven bagua, right? So it's the later heaven bagua. So later heaven bagua, I need to give it a completely new name. I cannot give it a same name, so I cannot use back the heaven, earth, pond, mountain, fire, whatever. So I give you a new name, naming convention. So why they choose this, all this funny name doesn't matter, right? Do not matter at all. Have you ever asked why is certain product named the way that it should name, right? Like for example, what's the meaning of Google, Nike, Adidas, very recently Labubu? What's the meaning of those words? No meaning. But very clearly what the hell is Nike though. Because why? They have come up with a name and then they have thrown something into the name box. I've thrown that particular shoe inside. This particular shoe is called Nike. Right? So something called Google, they have already thrown the function in and you somehow know that Google means this particular function. Same thing. It's just categorizing on it. Right, it's just categorizing method, right? So then they have this categorizing method, right? So everything is categorized. So you can see this encompasses everything in the universe. Whatever that is known is placed inside these 8 boxes. That's it. If you don't like these 8 boxes, you can use the early heaven bagua. So this is later heaven bagua. So later heaven bagua got a lot of those abomination stuff inside. Abomination stuff mean that things that is not very solid or not very clear. Like for example, head of the house. How are you gonna categorize head of the house in a early heaven bagua situation? Is head of the house something that's always in the sky? Cool, I'll call it something that's always in the ground then. Or head of the house is something that is always tall, or do you think it's always something low? Is head of the house something that is rising, or is it something that's falling? Right? Is head of the house something that can be seen, or is it something that can't be seen but can be felt? How will you categorize this thing called head of the house? Seems like that system doesn't work, right? So I come up with a completely new system lah, and I want to put that fella into the Qian-Gua classification, right? So that's it. So I just put it in the Qian-Gua. So now I start to know that Qian-Gua has to do with things that is in connection with power and authority, decision making. So anything that have to do with power, authority, decision making, throw into the Qian-Gua box. So aka call any of the Lego pieces that you see that is triangle, we go into the Qian-Gua box. That's it. Right now, Qian-Gua mean triangle. Maybe you want to plus that Qian-Gua mean triangle, it also means square. So right now the Qian-Gua is triangle square. Understand? Right? It doesn't have a fixed meaning. The box do not have a fixed meaning. It have a generalized meaning. Like 对卦 is anything that's very noisy. So 对卦is sound. has to do with, you know, oratory stuff. So anything that's basically noisy got thrown into 对卦 lah, including young daughter. Youngest daughter usually is the most noisy one. So again, these are generalized bias. But from observation last time, you know, yeah, you know, they are a bit more noisy, right? So, and then the Kun Gua is basically your mother, you know, anything that, you know, sacrificial, whatever it is, right? Li Gua is anything that's bright, you know, stuff like that. Xin Gua, you know, is basically, you know, again, is wind related information, right? So now again, if let's say that I have a category called information, a category called information, right? So how am I going to categorize information if I use the later heaven, early heaven bagua method? Is information consider it as sky stuff, ground stuff, high stuff, low stuff, rising stuff, dropping stuff, can see stuff, cannot see stuff? You know, how am I going to categorize as information? Right, probably it might end up with the you know, the what we call the wind, right? So that's why, you know, Xinhua, the wind got thrown into this, right? So, you know, again, like things like direction, you know, north, south, east, west, you know, north, south. Now you see, north, south, east, west is being put into the Li Gua. In Li Gua is, you know, like Li Gua represents south, right? So please don't get it the other way around. South is not Li Gua. Li Gua is south. So which means south actually sit inside Li Gua, right? So Li Gua also at the same time it represents, you know, middle-aged woman. See, middle-aged woman, and also brightness, and also south is basically all represented. And if you take a look at it, right, so like brightness and also south, right? So south is more bright because why is closer to the equatorial. The amount of sunlight that is in the south is much more higher. So most of the time you will see that south is very bright, and it's also a place that is a bit more warmer, again, because, you know, the amount of exposure to sunlight is basically a bit more higher, aka called the sun is closer to that particular level, right? So everything that has to do with that category of stuff get thrown into this box called Li Gua box. So that's why a lot of time when you're reading this, right, what the hell are you reading? Right? So you don't even know what the hell you're reading. How are you going to know which box to read? Right? So same thing, you're reading Qimen, right? You know, say that, you know, ambassador. Ambassador is the box. Ambassador is not money. Money is just one of the category thing that's basically placed inside this box called ambassador. So same thing, you know, it's like, you know, life door, you know, life door, you know, life door is just a box. Right, life door is just about, it describes a bunch of activity and stuff that is basically happening, whatever it is, right? So if it's fit that one, you know, so please don't life door is, you know, oh, money, I see life door mean that got money. No, it means a lot of things. Money is just one small little category. Same thing also, you know, it's like, harmony mean that, you know, I'm gonna find girlfriend. Wrong. Girlfriend is one of the small little stuff that is inside the box of harmony. The box of harmony got a lot of things inside. So you cannot get a definitive answer out of Chinese metaphysics. Cannot, because why? The category is just so much. Entire universe, 8 boxes. Right, again, right? So entire unit, 8 boxes. Somebody, you know, one day down the line is going to feel like maybe 8 boxes not enough. Right. Maybe 8 boxes not enough. No. So how about we add another line? No, you know, the guy said that, you know, might as well, right? So might as well, you know, since I'm going to do it, right? So let's double the box. Let's double it, right? So, you know, which means that, you know, let's add another 3 more lines. Then you get this thing called hexagram, no? Right? So you get this stuff called hexagram. Right? So you have this thing called hexagram now. So I just, you know, add another layer of line inside. Now I got more boxes. That's it, right? I got more boxes. 8 boxes, you know, I add another 8 more boxes on top of it. Then I get this thing called a hexagram. So I get 64 boxes. Is that easy only? Right? Is that easy only? It's because a lot of time when you are studying this, you know, the approach is you want to find a meaning to one of these boxes. The box does not contain any meaning. The box contains a bunch of stuff. Now, once you are able to swallow the entire idea that it's a box and it got a bunch of stuff inside, this become way much more easier for you to understand. Right? As in, you know, the entire idea is that American, as in the people of America, American, does not mean anything. That's it. Very simple. Right? So, no, Australian does not mean anything other than they are from the continent of Australia. Other than that, Australian doesn't mean anything. Right? Can I pick up an Australian, you know, a random Australian and start accusing this fellow of something? Like, for example, Australians, you know, so yeah, I don't feel offended, you know. So, you know, Australia was started because the British ship a lot of convict, murderer, criminal that they do not want in British, they ship it to Australia. Australia is basically a glorified big jail back then, right? So, you know, is it wrong that, you know, if I pick you up, say that, you know, you are a criminal? There are certain group of you are confirmed, you know, criminal, confirmed. Yeah, right. So, like just now you said that Chinese, somehow they are very associated with commerce and they bloody sell everything. So is it like maximum wrong if I, you know, accuse Chinese of trying to sell, catch and sell your son? Hey, it's true, because last time in China, they really, the Chinese people really catch small children and sell them off as slaves. Sell them off to America. Not only capture small children, big children also, they sell it off, giving them the promise of the Kamsan. Alright, so Kamsan, Golden Hill. Alright, so you go to this place. A lot of them who come over to Nanyang, which is Malaysia, Singapore, is also under the same pretext of, you know, yeah, those were Chinese. Right. So we Chinese started going around the sea way longer before the English people started. Right? Although the English people did a much more better job at colonizing the world. Yeah, they did an awesome job. Right, so no, but the Chinese has started with this particular game, you know, just that we play a smaller game, like, you know, we just bother with making money and, you know, selling instead of trying to take over other people's land. You know, we try to get rid of stuff that we do not want from our country, right? So like what China is currently doing is the same. Right, they have a lot of EV car that they do not want, so what did they do right now? They ship all the EV car to your country and get rid of it. Right, see, they do not want to take over your country car making industry. They don't want to take over your country's economy. They want to throw stuff that they don't want to. Okay, right, so now start putting this into your mind that, you know, any Chinese metaphysics that you study is a bucketing system. That's it. Right, so, you know, it's like, you know, when we talk about rainwater is just a bucket. Right, there's a lot of stuff that's thrown inside rainwater. So please do not ever say that rainwater, this is a water person. Nothing to do with that. So this is like equivalent to saying that, you know, Australian are convict, Chinese are, you know, China are people who like to do counterfeit, which is correct. You know, this is not wrong. I just tell you first. So like China started off with counterfeiting, but today they are the, you know, cutting edge of coming out with new things, right? So like robotic, they are way ahead. Okay, way ahead, you know, robotic, you know, your 5G, 6G research, you know, they are damn way ahead. Okay, so what, you know, but they did started off with counterfeiting stuff. No doubt about that, you know, so that will always be part of the bucket. But the bucket doesn't mean counterfeit is everything. Understand? Right? So when you start to understand this, you know, talking about thank God, you know, eating God is not a thing. Eating God again is a category of lots of things inside. So once you unlock yourself from this fixation that, you know, it need to be something fixed, very easy for you to study this, very easy for you to start to understand this. Oh no, when we are looking at this, right, I know roughly I'm looking at things that is like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, and like this, you know. When I put everything together, you will start to identify that this particular stuff here fits the category. So I know this is the things that I should be focusing on, right? So that is where, you know, the magic start to happen and give you a range of stuff to take a look. You know, Bazi also is the same, right? So again, Bazi don't have a definite answer. Should I be a doctor? No. But if you look at the Bazi, you will see that, you know, oh, this particular Bazi has an advantage when it's doing stuff that is like this. Right, so this is the period whereby, you know, it is most supported look like, you know, if he, you know, go through this particular skill set, it should further strengthen. But all of this, when you put together, you start to see that, you know, oh, if this particular person do this, right, it's gonna be very smooth. This is how 八字 basically is working. We try to figure out that particular picture of stuff that you can be doing, right? So it can be a few category, again, few different category. Then, you know, if you go through that as such, right? So same thing also feng shui, you take a look at it. Oh, this particular place, if you take a look at it, right? So it helps with this sort of activity, right? So this particular a specific structure, it help with that, you know, just this, you know. So if you are doing this sort of stuff in this particular area, this is the activity, the action that you are doing, right? So all the energetic here will basically be supporting you and pushing you, you know, towards success. That's basically feng shui, right? So, you know, same thing, you know, if you're talking about achievement, right? At this point in time, with all the thing that's currently moving and happening right now, these are the few action that basically make sense, right, for you to reach the area, right? So we're telling you at this thing that you're doing, if you continue with your path of choice, the one that you're choosing, you will be bumping into one of these three walls. It's just doing that only, right? So, you know, it is not giving you a definite answer. So the moment you delete the definite answer thingy and start to take a look at it, I'm dealing with 64 category of the universe, or I'm dealing with 8 category of the universe, it's much more easier for you to start to understand your choices. Cool, right? So that's basically the sharing for today, right? So very easy, right? So because as we go through it, you know, again, I don't want you to get stuck with, you know, there is going to be a definite yes no answer. It must be a doctor or a dentist. No, there's no such answer. No, and I can't give you such answer. Cannot, right? I cannot get you such answer, but I can give you the, you know, what we call general direction that you should be doing, right? So that can be done, right? So that can be done pretty easily, right? So this is basically I Ching, right? So I Ching is just category of boxes, right? So 64 is the most that we have gone through, right? So if you go through the computer world, you go to the computer world is actually the same, right? Computer world is the same. You know, they start out with binary 1 or 0, right? So they find out that 1 or 0, you know, very difficult to do things, right? So then, you know, they go through, you know, the first useful one was 8 bits, right? So 8 bits. 8 bits mean that 8 bits, right? So then 8 bits, they find that, you know, 8 bits not enough, you know. It went to from 8 bits, then, you know, they double it up, and then it becomes 16 bits, right? You know, 16 bits, right? So Sega was 16 bits. Right, Sega was 16 bits processor, right? So then from 16 bits they go to 32, double it up, you know. So they double it up, you know, we went to 32 bits, right? So, you know, then, you know, it went to 64 bits, 128, right? So now, like right now, most of the what we call operating system, most of the operating system is still operating on a 64-bit platform. Okay, right? So then, you know, after 64, they got 128, 256, right? Yeah, 256, right? So no, it's just like that only. So now, as each of these computer category become bigger, more stuff it can represent. Right, the more stuff it can represent, everything that the computer can know can be represented by this, you know, 128 bits. So more stuff it can represent. So in Chinese metaphysics, 64 is the biggest category we have. We don't have anything bigger than 64 already. So 64, so that's why I Ching explains everything. If you have ever thought of things that they know, they tell you that I Ching can explain everything, it is not lying. Because why everything in the universe is put inside this 64 box. The part of it which is very iffy is that, you know, which is the box that you're talking about. If you can find the correct box, that's the answer. Right, but right now the problem, you cannot find the correct box. Right, same thing with Qi also. If you can read the right box, your answer is correct one, you know? Right? Yeah, 八字 also is the same, you know. 八字, you know, if you take a look at it, you know, 八字 got this particular idea of, you know, useful God. Useful God is basically, you know, if you can find the correct box, your 八字 is correct, right? You cannot find the correct box, then, you know, not correct, right? So, you know, again, no definite answer, you know, it's just a big range of stuff, you know, everything get put inside their boxes, you know, they're sure gonna have a box for you, right? You're sure gonna fit into one of these boxes, you know, and get it done, right? So that's why the system is versatile and also confusing at the same time, right? So yeah, my request for you is that please stop the English way of thinking, which is must have one answer to one relationship. Don't happen here, right? You want to study Chinese metaphysics, you want to be really good at it, one to many. Okay, there's no one-to-one relationship. It's one to many because we got too little box, too many things. So a lot of things get put inside the same box. This thing got put inside, that thing got put inside, this thing put inside. It's 64 box for everything in the universe itself. Right, so if you're using the trigram, then it's 8 boxes in the entire universe. Everything is basically represented in that particular 8 boxes. Cool, pretty easy. All right, so that's it, guys. Right, see you guys.